Hello and welcome to the Tavern Chat podcast. We are doing a fireside chat with Tom Knaus. Tom is probably best known for his work at Frog God Games.
Thanks. Good to be here.
Very much, I want to call it setting, but really you deal with environments extremely well, Tom. And welcome to the show. I'm glad I haven't seen Tom since TotalCon. So
we've been playing some Roll20, doing some 5e for a little bit. We've also resumed some in-person gaming. With some friends. We all wear our masks and stay apart from each other, but it actually works out okay.
What have you been
It's not that
doing
frequent. It's only like maybe once a month or so. I'm actually going tomorrow
for me,
to do a game.
I
did the Frog God Games virtual game day last time it was done.
It's the pandemic. It's the pandemic. Doesn't help.
Yeah, I did that, and that was actually pretty fun. It was good to play with people that I don't know, and who were all over the place.
I wasn't healthy
kind of
enough
interesting, but a few technical glitches here and there, but otherwise it actually worked out pretty well, and I think the players in it actually liked the setting because this is one of the things I ran for it. So.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, I'm already in trouble with Alice because I have not set up my Discord channel properly on the server yet in preparation for game day, and apparently I have to watch a training video. Well, I retired, so I would never have to watch another training.
Yeah, we have training videos too that they make you watch
in my life.
Everyone's working from home, so
watch a training video to set up my channel properly. But apparently, I can't figure it out otherwise, which is true. So I guess I'll be watching a video this weekend. Yeah, training videos, for those folks who don't know, I think it's just the way law enforcement covers their ass, and it's like,
we end up doing that too. It's not the same as in person. So.
In-person training to thousands of our officers. What we're gonna do is put together a video, and we're gonna make them spend 15 minutes watching it, and then we're gonna claim that they're trained. Please electronically sign after watching the video.
You know what? I don't really know.
So we started out where
I had been working for Bastion Press, and I really hadn't worked for them.
I
was kind of like, somebody who submitted them something, got it approved, did like some unofficial stuff that they liked, and what happened was they were starting to do like an environmental book, and it was called Into the Green. And the original author just kind of crapped out on it. Never did anything.
So now,
and they had a launch date, and the launch date was like 20 days.
I've heard this before.
So Jim Butler, who was the owner of Bastion Press, reached out to me and said, "Hey, we have an issue. We have somebody who dropped the ball. Would you like to write this book?"
How did that ever come
So me being like, oh my gosh, I'm ecstatic to get my first really big assignment. Said, sure. So I get all these files, and I'm like, holy crow, I'm going to have to go through all of these and figure out what to use with them, and then write it myself. And incredibly, I turned out, I think it was like a 77,000 word book in 17 days.
Gee,
No, I didn't write the whole thing. I can't take entire credit for it, because there was some like monster submissions and other stuff I was able to use for it.
Right.
But, I kind of started with that, and then it's like, oh, well, you did well with that. Would you like to do one about another environment? And that became Into the Black. And then I kind of got out of designing when 4E came along, and I wanted to get back into it, when Pathfinder started up. So I reached out to a friend of mine who actually worked with me on this project, Tim Hitchcock, and I said, hey, what do you got that I can do? And he said, well, I got this project called Razor Coast. You want to jump on it? So I said, sure. So I got on it, did a lot of stuff, last minute fixing, last minute we need this, that, and the other thing. And when I finished, Frog God then approached me and said, would you like to write an environment book? And I guess they had researched what I had done at Bastion Press. And I said, sure. So that's how I started doing them. And the rest, I guess, is history, as they say.
Well, and what's funny is you bringing up Razor Coast, and I remember the whole background of Razor Coast being crowdfunded and then not happening. But it's also probably the last large setting an adventure book for any RPG. I read it for Swords and Wizardry that I actually read cover to cover. It was actually that much fun to read. And
Cool.
my only complaint was it was hard to get a starting party involved in that.
Where we are opening a new area of the Lost Lands.
Otherwise,
all of the previous projects, other than Razor Coast, which is kind of like
very few things.
I don't want to say
because I really have
Akanos or Libanos. It's kind of left
difficulty.
Not really said where exactly it is. This is south of the equator, so it is an island that's referred to in the primary source book as one of the Arkanos Islands, and it is called it's called Tual, and it's spelled Tehuatl.
So now your latest project with Frog Games is
and it is a Mesoamerican inspired expansion to the setting. So there's two boats guide to the island, so it explains its history, its people, the faiths, traditions, society of the entire island, which isn't that big by Lost Land standards. I just did. It's kind of on the small side. It's kind of like probably the size of one of the Midwestern states, or those lines. So this is the main book. And then there's a sections, one that I wrote, one that Tim Hitchcock, and one that Rob Manning wrote, who's another friend of mine who's done work for a lot of companies. And we also have a little bit of an homage to previous Yes. Product, which is kind of a play on words. C1 adventure, The Hidden Shrine of Tomoe-chan.
That's how you. I can never figure out how to pronounce T.
I've seen a spell problem. I've never really seen it spelled once, but it is.
So adventures are gonna be in the usual 3 Frog God flavors, Tuesday and Swords and Wizardry.
No. So we're gonna do the adventures in Pathfinder 5e and Swords and Wizardry. So yeah, they're gonna be available for each. There's also going to be an add-on system-specific guidebook for each of the systems. Now, the 5e the Pathfinder one, and they're also inspired by the setting. But they can be used, pretty much anywhere if you wish. They're not, mutually exclusive. I'm sorry, they're not exclusive to WoW. You can port them over to other parts of the Lost Lands if you so please.
Everybody loves new spells. That's new spells and new magic items are always the ooh, give me more. So that's cool. So now, what would be the inspiration for this setting from the real world if people were gonna go, this is gonna reflect what cultures are you drawing influence on, or
we predominantly drew inspiration from the Aztecs, but we did port some ideas over from previous civilizations and current ones that were in the area. So we drew some from the Mayans, some from the Olmecs, some from the Toltecs, and a little bit from the Inca civilizations. But by and large, it's very Aztec inspired.
Damn. I gotta say the one thing about the pandemic and being homebound all these days is that I'm watching a lot of like Nat Geo and History Channel and reading about the Central and South American Indian tribes, or watching all this stuff on TV has really been more interesting than I expected.
Yeah, we actually have a source book in it that will explain some of the sources that we used, and some of them were some of the programs you're referencing. There's one called The Lost Pyramids of the Aztecs, which was done by Windfall Films. It's a 2-hour production, so if you were watching, one of them is actually a Nat Geo one as well. It was Nat Geo, give me just a second,
so it's
my
gonna
little thing
be
here. Engineering an Empire of the Aztecs. And they talked about how they built the city of Tenochtitlan.
I guess
how they did a lot of the engineering in the empire.
So
we also have, of course, some reference books that we used to create this. But some of it, again, it's fictional. It's not intended to be role playing in 16th century Mexico. It's intended to be role-playing in the Lost Lands with inspiration from 16th century Mexico. So,
and that's the whole thing. I mean, even when we're playing your bread and butter, your average fantasy roleplay session of the murder hobos, we're drawing inspiration from the Dark Ages or the Middle Ages and even the Renaissance, but it's not a recreation. We didn't have dwarves and halflings and elves wandering around, dragons and undead. So, yes, I like the
we're gonna have
one
of the stretch goals is to add a bestiary to what you got. Yeah. So I will say, I will have to admit, I did not create most of the new monsters for the adventures. Actually, Tim Hitchcock did most of them. Rob Banning did some, but I ended up doing most of the mechanics for those.
Not just
so it was his idea. I just fleshed out all the numbers and all of that stuff. But yeah, so we're looking forward to that. And one of the, of course, another stretch goal would be to provide illustrations for these new monsters that are drawn from various mythology and legends, as well as some things that we used that we felt had the same flavor, but weren't exactly part of the culture. So, again, it's a work of, based on fact, but it is still fiction. And, we still drew inspiration from it, but we did really want to keep true to the origins while having to make some adjustments in some areas. So, for instance, one of the main things we talked about when we first started this project was how do we handle like steel and iron in this project? Do we totally prevent players from using them, or what do we do with them? And it was pretty much, it's still a fantasy setting, so there are dwarves, there are elves, there are other races who have steel and iron. So we kind of decided, well, it's part of it. And it's also, remember, it's a semi-tropical environment. So if you want to wear steel plate mail armor, 95-degree heat with 50% humidity and the ability to rust, be my guest. Go for it.
And that's on a cooler day, probably, too.
Yeah. It can get pretty warm. So if that's what you want to do, go ahead. But other things, we did remain true to. We didn't allow. There's no horses on the island, so we're not bringing mounts. And the people who inhabit the main human race who inhabit the island, the Asleys, have warships and other technology that they've developed over the centuries that are different than what would have been found in Mesoamerica in the 16th century. But we felt that they would be natural progressions and developments that the society would have undergone if they were allowed to develop as we let them develop in this world.
Oh, cool. Now, are there going to be weapons made from volcanic rock in this, or glass, I should say? Because I remember that from the old TSR adventures when they were dealing with, I guess, the Americas and the natives.
Yeah, they used obsidian for their weapon. It was fragile and it was extremely sharp. It's sharper than steel. Obsidian scalpels are sharper than even surgical steel scalpels.
Pretty fragile.
Yeah, they're pretty sharp. But like you said, they are fragile. So we incorporated that into some of the rule mechanics for 5e and Swords of for 5e and Pathfinder.
I mean,
but there are other weapons. We also made one other advancement that they developed.
Right.
The ancient Mesoamericans had rubber. It wasn't the rubber we know today. It was similar, So in this version, they've advanced to create vulcanized rubber. So they've created some weapons that are made from vulcanized rubber that is like hard, and also they have some types of armor that you can wear that give you protection and also are somewhat flexible. So we thought that would be also another natural progression that would make sense in terms of technological advancements.
Nice. So this is really gonna be, it's in the Lost Lands, but it can also
it's still
be
part of the
run
Lost
as
Lands,
a
but
standalone
but it is by and
Right.
large its own little world. There are some connections to the more familiar continents of Akados and Libanos, but by and large it is its own little standalone, much in the way of Razor Coast was. Pretty similar to that.
Okay. That's pretty cool. Now, do we know when
The
where
launch
on the
date we have advised is
calendar
next week.
this is for launch?
Yep. Yeah, all the writing is done. Yeah, this project is pretty far along. All the art is done, all the writing is done. The editing is all the main book editing is done. The only thing we're waiting for is the editing for the adventure book, and some conversions. But otherwise, this project is very far along, and we should be able to produce it hopefully in an expeditious manner that our customers will be able to get it hopefully quicker than anticipated, but I'm not making any promises because I'm not in the capacity to do that. But
please, the world of Kickstarter is always one of random issues cropping up that nobody planned for. So,
yeah, we're excited.
Well, that's exciting. Damn. Again, the last time I saw Tom was TotalCon at the end of February, and I think there was some talk about this upcoming project, but no details. Not that I was talking with you about it. Just others at Frog God. Bill was excited, but Bill then talks in vague terms. So you're like, he's excited. I don't know why yet. Now I know why. So, very cool. Well, Tom, thank you for taking the time out of your day. I know, and again, in this world of COVID,
yeah, it's a little far out to make that speculation
at
this time. But yeah, if there's a TotalCon, I have every intention of being there.
Whatever you would have been normally doing at your desk at home to talk with me. But
yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. So I like driving to it too, and not having to deal with the airport, the plane.
I probably, I guess there's no game hole this year. So the next possibility to actually see is going to be TotalCon, if there is a TotalCon.
Yeah, I think
next year.
John can provide the link to the promotion page. So
so
if you want to attach it, that'd be awesome.
Year, at least that's one I can drive to. I said every year. TotalCon I can drive to. I like that. Yeah. I don't mind. Yeah. Gary Kahn renting a car. Oh, I hate that part. Oh, jeez. Yeah, I whine and complain. Well, again, Tom, thank you. Thank you for spending the time, and thank you for giving some behind the scenes of this upcut. Now, what's the actual name of the Kickstarter so people know what to look for? Oh, okay. All right. That's for those that know. John Barnhouse, otherwise known as the Peck. So, all right. Well, Tom, thank you so much, folks. As always, be safe, be well. God bless for all those dice. And I shall be talking with you all, God willing, later.